Thank you. Um, I'm gonna show stuff and move through the practice. Yeah. So I became an artist early, or I was brought to art. First from birth, like I was educated to culture, and then at school, my school sent me and other students in Mali to make documentaries, and I was trying to refuse to make the documentary, and I made some things that today is not. I don't think it's super good, but nevertheless, that's how I got brought into art, and I show it. I show small.
Vit en étroite collaboration avec les deux, qui sont très côtoyants plus que les hommes, qui sont très sympas plus que les hommes. Du moment où la planète sur laquelle vivaient les hommes est saturée, je suis le seul homme qui vit avec des centaines de bœufs. Ils sont mes amis, je discute avec eux, nous causons ensemble et il y a une bonne entente entre nous. Hier, ma femme, la vache, elle a donné deux petits veaux et le baptême c'est pour demain. L'orchestre.
So it's called Kempinski, and so this was like me trying to react to a commission, school commission, and the idea was to not respect the rule of making a documentary or use the people we would meet. So I asked them to speak about the future in present tense and make jokes. But the funny thing is that the teachers were super happy, and this thing that I thought was I was trying not to respect authority, and this thing brought me to art, and also showed me a mechanic that I still use. So the way I worked with it is that I didn't like showing it outside of, reproducing cinema in a gallery. I wasn't super interested in that. So I was also for economic reason. And so I was building installations or systems to watch and to create a relation similar to the object. So it was doing stuff like that. And this became a bit of a mechanic of work, of taking a system and then make a rule and see what comes out of it. So this is another response to that work. I'm gonna be less slowly.
People are beautiful here. They have a really good work-life balance. They go to work, but they don't just do anything that provides a life. They have a lot of passions in life, and they try to live their life based on what they like doing and spend time with people who they love being with. And that's what makes life so beautiful here, because the people like spending time with each other. They love what they do, and their life is so full of colors.
there's a lot of different varying factors when you talk about best, because it's very subjective. How many places do you know you can kayak in the morning, put your kayak away, go for a round of golf after that, after the round of golf, go down to the beach, lie in the sand, get some sun, after that, go home, get changed, have a shower, go for a quick bite on a patio somewhere, then go up to Grouse Mountain, go skiing for the later afternoon. Once you finish skiing, come back home, have a power nap, get up, go out for a nice bite to eat on a patio and enjoy the views, and then go out and party at night. All in one day. I mean, that's lifestyle.
So here it's a bit a similar system. So I was in a North American city in Vancouver, and I realized I met this real estate agent in the street explaining me how the city was nice, and so I decided to make a movie asking people to defend their lifestyle and to have this kind of weird science fiction mix between love, yoga, and neoliberalism and real estate, and to try to make this advertisement city. But just both of those work are just a reply to the constraint or to the place I am, with a critique, but placed softly. So this work is shown in installation. Still now, wait. Various size. So in order to reproduce the society within the work, it was I made like every installation the same but different, and looking like iPhones or like kind of holographic stuff. And the more means I got through the practice, the more the machine became complicated. There was also the domestic size version for people's home, and then the big museum size one that moves. But it was also a game of like Nikes, we all have the same Nikes but different colors, so we're different. So to add that layer in the work, so the version that becomes like big buses or stuff like that. And it was coming with assemblage works that I don't know how to speak about anymore. This one you could leave a message to the sculpture. There was a phone in it. And just trying to augment the universe of the work. Again, variation. But the funny thing about that piece, the same way at school I tried to bother my teacher, but they were happy, and out of that I capitalized. In this one, the funny thing is that so it's clearly a criticism of a model of society of real estate and a transparent city with control system through transparency. And the first edition that was sold to someone that was owning a building I filmed. So again, like the critic created the job. So all the practice worked about like with systems like that of just a constraint reaction, and the form comes out of it, to a point that actually what I want to do is not really important, but the way we organize to achieve it becomes a bit the artwork, and then the forms are just the leftovers. So this is a project that in Palette Tokyo in I don't know when. And so this project had a small budget because it was a young stuff and it was a cave. And what we did is that there was only the budget to try to shoot a video, so we lived in the building and organized shooting of 3 videos with shitty film sets. And then in order to finance the exhibition behind, we organized a party where people had to pay for drinks that sponsors were offering. And people were demolishing the film set, and we would build then the show out of the show and the movies out of that destruction and out of the leftovers. It's just a party. And it failed also economically because people understood the system and started to drink for free, and people stole stuff in the museum. So I discovered debts. the works, and then as object we took the, so yeah, it's not well documented, but so at the end we built, all the stuff are built out of the leftovers with alcohol that were in the floor, and we cleaned, and that was just about trying to find a way to make forms out of it. And then those objects we, where they're here, yeah, became souvenirs. We added wheels on them so we can bring them away. And they had plugs so they can go to art fairs and people can plug their phone and come to the booth. That's another attempt strategy. It was with a German museum. And instead of doing the exhibition in the museum, we organized it because I got fascinated by real estate agents. So we decided to organize a collaboration with a real estate agent and find a loft that was to be sold in the city. So we found one of the most expensive one. And the deal was to say with the real estate agent that his clients might be my visitors. So the rule of the game is that he wouldn't have the right, so we make the exhibition in his place, but he wouldn't have the right to say to visitors that this is art, and he would have to try to sell them the apartment all the time. So inside we've put like gigantic pipelines and kind of beds, weird stuff, and security cameras everywhere, and pipelines to move the toilets in the living room. And so it could kind of host a lot of people, and that's the real estate agent. And what was interesting in that stuff is that the audience got pissed off at him. The more he was trying to sell the apartment with the art around, he felt people started to politicize the artwork, and so a criticism way stronger than the one I was making. As something about housing crisis or immigration or something like that, but that might be because of my name. And so he got a lot of fights and regretted the experiment. But at the end, he left, but so basically they got documentaries on TV and they sold it with higher surplus value out of the show. So then it became objects around. This I can go further. Yeah. So all the work is always a game like that, of systems, constraint, and reply. I keep doing like that, or I go faster, okay. So another attempt, because basically, yeah, we were invited by an institution to do a work with a school of small kids, and we said like, okay, no, we don't make the work for us, but we make it for the kids. So that's me and my colleague acting, and we work for them and obey their script.
Ocean would like to exchange a few words with them.
But we had a fight with the kids that said it's not our movie, it's yours, so they never finished, so we finished. And it became ours.
Next to them, Rey Mysterio is enjoying himself like a lion after a good meal. Their private plane's violent.
No, anyway, I don't know, I don't need to show this one actually. But then it was those are works that we do on the way of working. So that's domestic work. They're made with cardboard that we consume when we work, but it's not ecological recycling because there is resin in it. So it's like more of a functioning recycling, because it becomes the economy that produces the works after, and basically they look like gigantic iPads. That's something else. So at one point So we experimented systems because I was working with a lot of people, and we tried a system at one point when I started to enter the market with objects like that. That we would not be allowed to capitalize in the studio, so we could hire anyone, and people were not coming when we needed, but when they needed job. But we were super young and not well paid, so it worked, and it was the same salary from the intern to me. But anyway, I was controlling the social capital, so it wasn't. And so out of that budget, we started to be a lot of people, and we started to build a film set in the studio. But it took 6 years to build it out on the side of exhibition. And so we built a hotel, and that's the outside of the studio. And we made a movie where I was a director without a normal movie, a fiction. I can show the trailer. And then after that movie, so we had that gigantic studio that was empty because of the movie, that we turned into an art center. Also with the leftovers of the budgets that we were generating. A lot of people did exhibition in that place. And then when we could make it function, we realized that 80% of the budget we were using were going towards the building and not art, so we stopped. Because it was just reproducing mechanics. Then we tried to release the movie, and so we did that out of using the fact that the art thing. So we did posters for it that were artworks, so more expensive than a poster, that finance the release in theater, or merchandising that were sculpture. That's an espresso machine. But I don't find the trailer.
Bonsoir, monsieur l'agent. Je suis avec mon ami dans cet hôtel. Vous allez m'aider. S'il y a un problème, dites-moi. Est-ce qu'il y a un problème, monsieur l'agent?
Elle nous a freiné à 200 km, c'est pour ça qu'elle a pris les flics.
Elles sont les choses, elles sont les gens.
C'est pas un chien, quand même.
Je te parle d'intuition féminine.
Et vous aviez raison. Ils ont pas l'air d'être italiens. Mais les Chinois ont un problème.
Arrêtez-les!
Concrètement, je suis un peu embêté. On peut rien faire parce qu'ils ont rien fait.
Qu'est-ce qui vous dit que c'est pas un complot?
Oui, ils ont pris notre subnévisible.
C'est moi qui veux.
Toi, mais pourquoi faire? Si j'étais avec son copain, je te regarderais même pas.
Putain, mais sans doute dire, c'est des activistes, t'as compris qu'ils essayaient de nous recruter.
Les musulmans dans cette zone.
Il a bu 2 canettes de coca à la suite et même 3.
Le coca à la tête, ça me passe.
Il faut abattre un monde pour en laisser surgir un nouveau.
Yeah, so it was a movie with where we were merging every ideology that we're climbing in a weird way that didn't make sense. So everything that would be from racism, misogyny, homophobia, everything that we can find. And I'm going to speed up a bit to now. I know I can show that. So at one point, the working was funny, but also weird because there was a moment, there was a project in New York in a big museum, a project the first contemporary art project since a long time, from a Westerner in Iran, and something in Ukraine and something in China. like all the four at the same time, and it became super weird to feel that ideologically it was supposed to work, that the practice could work in blocks and systems that should not defend the same thing. So the fact that slowly it became clear that I was mostly an agent of what I was criticizing. The desire to do, something started to piss me off, because like it was like always in the same loop of self-criticizing or self-destroying the machine that we were constructing, and to try an equilibrium in it that wouldn't be too incoherent, while it's kind of a permanent ideological failure. And so we did that project in Palette Tokyo also. So it's a project where we borrowed / reproduced or stole every 400 anecdotes or image that represent the relation of a form and power, artist and ideology. But so there are like museum stories, artworks. So on this image, the stuff that is moving is the Imperial War Museum doing an exhibition about not doing war. On the right, it's like the anti-apartheid posters of Rauschenberg and stuff like that. So we had 400 stuff, and we had robots recomposing the space through the shape and the strategies that was used in the image. I don't know if it makes sense. So basically, the question, like you had different poles in the space that were like that had name from appropriation, death, figuration, abstraction, multiples, number, like every strategy that you can represent something, whether it's a power or counter-power, because elements in it comes from everywhere on Earth, from extreme right to extreme left, from contemporary art to commercial or advertisement, and to make a kind of a Google search engine that moves all the time, and that never works. I can describe a bit some stuff in it, but that's a Soviet decoration of the Universal Exhibition in Paris. This is John Kessler, the artist. And we played with the relation of art and politics and engagement and servility And this project was like self-destructing, and also it was a project with a partner where the partnership of the museum was interesting. So the liberal institutions, because we considered that the Contemporary Art Museum was an ideological vessel of the liberal machines. And so we could make partnership with the Holy War Museum in Tehran, the Imperial War Museum in London, with startups that are going to replace humans, and we mixed all those structures. What was funny with this exhibition is that it became a museum of propaganda in a way, and became super mainstream, got a lot of audience, and people didn't like the first rooms with my work, the personal work, but that they liked, that kind of gamified encyclopedia of violence or stuff like that. And the starting point of it was a blockchain farm for the independence it might create one day, and Gustave Courbet's painting. And this project is a bit like shifted what what we tried to achieve or to do after until now. I can show the stuff you talked about in Venice for 3 seconds, and then I switch to now. That's the thing he was talking about earlier. And it was interviews of soldiers that we conducted for 2 years. So it's 38 countries, and we found the soldiers on. We found the soldiers on Instagram and social networks.
interested in having.
And we only talked to them about, we talked about politics and ideology, but also about relation to their body, love, and stuff like that.
A good shape. And
it was kind of speed dating, and then we created a network of competition for soldiers for their body, because what interested me was like they had they represented values that I should oppose when, like, meaning like, so I'm not healthy, I don't really like war, I don't have abdominals. But at the same time, what was interesting is that if there is a transformation through culture, they should not shoot. So it was interesting to have them explaining their relation to the legitimate violence of states, or their job, when I think my job is more hidden, but I was the legitimate ideology of state. Okay. I can show you a bit the interview.
The both sides of the military one and the one in the sex.
Because many of them were also influencers, so it was interesting. Also.
Because I think it's sexy.
In my country, we don't talk about us, you know. We just we don't talking about us. You know, I guess for me that I'm sexy or something like that.
So I asked them if they thought they were sexy also. But it was a bit speed dating with soldiers to do something violent for myself. And also what was interesting is that showing it in Venice, which is a military arsenal that have a liberal representation of every country all together in the same place, and having the same version with soldiers that were actually interesting, because they're mostly lower class, 20 years old people that are less cynical than me, in that sense that the arguments they were justifying for what they were doing were real, meaning there was an American soldier saying like that, so she was a migrant, she got the US papers because she applied to the army, and I was asking questions about politics to her, and she said like, I'm not gonna criticize which war the US are in, which president there is, or the law on guns, meaning like she didn't approve of all those. But she said like, I'm not going to criticize that because I profit out of it and because it feeds me, which is something I should say every morning, because I have the same stuff.
Shade of his hum or of the wall.
I'm gonna show. But I can speak of the show in Brussels. Or you want to speak? We can speak also, or I continue. And I have to go through an extra step. When lockdown happened, we tried to keep working with the studio, and we did that online.
Screen talk. Hey there, sorry to bother you.
How are the symptoms? Any new ones?
I feel stupendous.
Is that man coughing?
Please, tell me what you know.
Yes, of course. The only thing killing you is cigarettes. Please, I'm not sick anymore!
There is a 3-to-1 chance the epidemic will happen worldwide.
Life will lead to falling heads. The desire will lead to a burning sun.
Half of the entire world would be hit in less than half of a week.
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
So basically, we used an old movie that meant nothing when it was made in 2014 or something, and gamified it. So the script was that an online epidemic forced people to stay home and speak only on Skype. And so we gamified that thing, and I'm gonna try to find the games. If you want, there is a game here actually. If you flash that, but you can play. So there was an interface, and you were watching, and people were gaining points by watching episodes. And what was interesting is that to try to distribute that work, we asked several structures to help, including galleries, museums, or magazines. So there were like kind of 10 structures helping distribute it, and most of the people gave a small amount, like something like between 500 and 1,000 euro to produce. And in 10 days we did that, more or less. I mean, the first version. And what is interesting is that so everyone was trying to release it through social network, one after the other, and it worked a bit in terms of mechanic, as the work got something like 80,000 viewers, which for an old artsy work from me was a lot. And so it placed a bit the studio and also the production companies that we had at the studio into technology in relation to trying new model of distributions. And the other thing that we had in it is that the more points you were gaining, the more art you could buy. And the artwork were like those stuff, paper edition that were certified on the blockchain. So anyway, it kind of small frames that you do at home, but that are certified technically. Not certified, but just numbered basically, but on the blockchain, so it was maintaining value. But that, I don't know, the audience and the relations and the people that watched it were interesting to us. Also the fact that it was decentralized and collective, the effort of pushing it out without the need of me becoming an influencer, because most of the people that watched it, I think, or maybe not most, but maybe half of them didn't know it was coming from the art world, I think, and it wasn't about me potentially, but about the work itself, like a brand. And so we started a collaboration between Mendes Wood and the Clearing in Brussels to bring that work physically, and we did 2 shows at the same time. So I show this adaptation and the other one. Because the idea would be, and I think this is kind of what interests me these days, looking for distribution model. So this is the show at Clearing. To be able to do that exhibition that was expensive, we had a collaboration with Mendes Wood to finance. So we made a 3-party economy. And so the rule of that exhibition was, so it's the adaptation of the website. The rule of that exhibition is that it wasn't about, the show wasn't free. It wasn't about selling the works. It was about making tickets to enter it. And then you connect your ticket in the exhibition and to the artwork. And you gain points out of it. So it's a game of attention economy. But so the more you stay, the more you get incentive. But the incentive were actually real work, so the capital of the exhibition, which were posters or artwork in NFT. So everything was a bit interactive, blah blah blah.
I feel like dancing.
You can talk to the stuff that are connected to Discord and that. And you had the quiz and stupid games. But so we used the technological tool to change the vocabulary of the show. So the show was critical towards technology because it was talking about speculation, epidemic, staying on Zoom, data control, but at the same time it was using those technology differently. So this is the island of cheaters, where you can get the answers to the question on the floor. That's the robots that talk to you are interactive. that's the roulette of defiscalization. So you can defiscalize your point by making a donation or getting arrested. And then you can customize your artworks. Yeah. And again, so this, we didn't have the means or the technical, so that's the point system, so the user ranking. And what was interesting is that we were distributing actual capital to mostly younger people than usual visitors, and also like instead of having a really low attendance in the gallery, we had between 110 and 250 per week for I think 5 months. So it created a real audience that was way bigger than the usual, and different because they had a lot of families coming and kids, and so it opened contemporary, like it opened a bit to the vocabulary to other audience, even if it's maybe cutted a bit from the art world, and people were getting unique posters and stuff like that. But what was interesting is that we started to work for audience rather than work for centralized machine, because we gave and if we had the means of doing internet and that at the same time, I think there is a cultural model that works in flux, and that is interesting. So to be allowed to do that, or to do that, we did at Mendes Food, we did this exhibition. And again, because since COVID, I want everything we do, every work, to have a digital twin and to be able to work in flux and not just through events. So the exhibition was about those wall works that have a figure hidden behind the colors. I'm going to show the video to make it clear. And so it was, I'm going to show basic.
Our chaperones are here. This is so exciting. What adventures awaits us? I can almost taste the champagne. What do you think they will serve? Roderer? Del Note? Veuve? I'd also be fine with some quality red wine. But I hope it's Veuve.
You are both so shallow. We are manifestation of a beautiful mind, abstraction but form. So far the public will get to experience us is what is important.
I hope they have the dinner in the gallery so we can hear Neil's toast. I bet he will wax poetics about me. Hey, you are handing me the wrong way. I'm sideways. Like, what the fuck, you stupid? I'm sideways now.
Don't worry, I'm sure now we'll see another change.
I honestly doubt he figures it out, bro. He's not even touching that rock. He's on a serious vitamin supplement, if you know what I mean. These fucking lights are the worst. I can't see shit. Are they figuring out that I'm behind the wrong way?
Shh! Would you be quiet? I'm trying to listen to the interview.
Désolé pour l'attente.
What? It started?
Comme Aristote le disait, l'attente est amère, mais son fruit est doux.
Fuck me!
Vous en voulez un peu?
Non, c'est bon.
So it's me trying to become an influencer.
Yeah. Neil really has gotten erect. It's insane. He barely fits in the chair.
L'apparition du bas-relief ne se fait que s'il y a de la lumière. Sans ça, ça n'existe pas.
You see the veins in his neck?
Seriously, shut the fuck up. He's talking about us.
Cette pièce, par exemple, est principalement digitale et elle est conceptuelle parce qu'elle n'existe principalement que par son aura.
Who is he talking about?
On peut voir le fait qu'elle soit digitale, un peu
Talks about the gift.
son existence qui passe par un événement extérieur comme la lumière pour les
But didn't even talk about me.
En fait, physiquement, c'est un hotspot Wi-Fi. Du coup, c'est une espèce de boucle conceptuelle.
Do not worry, there is room for everyone. Plus, we are the one going to be exhibited.
c'est un double objet, comme ces autres pièces sont des doubles images.
Okay, so it's basically, and they're gonna realize that they're not gonna be shown and end up in a storage, and which was the truth of their life. So all of them have personality and they speak, and so those works that happen to live on the internet. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna show everything, but organized weren't going to be shown in the exhibition because they got an existence on the internet, and so they organized a private party in the exhibition, and I don't think there's a picture. So they were jealous of those works that speaks to, and yeah, they organized a party in the exhibition to try to gain attention, and that was a bit the script of the show. But so you had like yeah, digital access and physical access, and every work has a personality and can speak.
It's funny, those filters that mimic outdated technology. You know, like something that makes video footage look like it's 90s VHS, or high 8, or whatever.
Okay, like some are philosophers, some like yeah. And it's always on internet. And this is how those works financed the other exhibition. So the life of those works, the robots that we saw in the exhibition, they started to get jobs because they're super interactive and they became bartender. So they have gigs of bartending for technology conference. So basically they deliver cocktails.
What do we have here? With alcohol?
Randomly and send it to the phones of people.
With an umbrella?
With NFTs.
Plain straw? It's a tequila sunrise.
And yeah, so this became a job of the company of the studio, like but a real job. So those sculptures are not considered as they're considered as entertainment for some fields, and so now we organize also kind of social clubs for cultural technology. But I'm getting lost, so I think we should stop. But so basically we started to use every tools we were developing and to transform them into tools. And so now we have a ticketing system that doubles an app and connects the physical work to an online version. And we have those bartenders that send stuff and systems like that of app tickets that connect online and physical. And it became kind of a job. And but I'm really getting lost, so I think we should stop.
Maybe we can answer some questions.
Yeah.
So, what I was wondering, like the first video you showed about like the documentary in Mali, which for you is also a bit of going against the system, but then the system is adjusting to it, they like it, and then you continue, instead of making only film, you make a work that's being shown in a gallery, also for economical reasons. Then the gallery, like you're going against this system, but then the gallery likes it.
No, it wasn't the gallery didn't have, for that, no.
Okay, but maybe afterwards, like I'm just wondering, you feel like things you hate, you also feel attracted to. It seems like somehow, like you're criticizing the system, but then you continue to go in that direction.
No, but I look for boundaries, and I'm an opportunist, and also I'm pragmatic, and I just see how we can create possibilities. or micro attempts at emancipation or different kind of relation with any structure that I think could be more virtuous or not. But I try stuff. Just the only trap I did was a bit the real estate agent. It wasn't nice. But the rest is like more of a collaboration all the time. And people invite me for that. So the more the system is criticized, the more I get job to criticize it. This loop was a bit bothering for me personally, but I made a living out of it. So it's it's complicated. Yeah.
And then I'm wondering how you see this last step in this.
No, but that's why I stopped, because I don't know how to join. But now we really have. What is interesting is that the social club thing is funny, because before I work with a lot of people. I actually now today I'm just someone that speak mostly. So that's my job. Social capital on legs. What was funny is that with the company stuff is that we have jobs. We work for people. We organize stuff for people. And what is interesting is that people get, like, the social capital is dissolved into a company, and everyone gets to stay their own individual within that structure, which is something that before we didn't have like what we did when we had the production company and the big studio art center is that we were producing people that were working with us to emancipate them as artists. But the problem is that when we were doing that they would live and live. And so they couldn't participate in the machine because the machine had my social capital. So it became a competition. You understand what? Like the person starts to work but if we still work together, then I have a bigger name, so there is a problem because it's a fight of individuals. And now what is interesting with the company is that we can kill, because it's a company with shares that are redistributed.
But then it's not only connected to your name anymore as well. Or,
slowly.
Yeah. And is this what you want?
For a part of the job, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean to have your name off of the company then.
No, but I think some parts, like basically, like my life has been to be the artist full time, which is not true. True, like sometimes maybe some movement I operate are about art, because my definition of art is a participation to the creation of possibilities in society, even super small possibilities, but an interaction with society. Most of my time as an artist is not what I do; it's the opposite. So I put a social pressure on society for powers. So I'd rather separate activity where my servility is clear. It's a company, I work. When I want to do art, I do art. And one time when I want to do something that is beautiful or an object, I do an object. But I don't need to have everything under that social capital. And also I have everything under a system that cannot allow to credit the other people that participated. So it's just a clearer relation, a more honest relation to things.
So then you also have the idea that social events are maybe more inclusive?
What do you mean?
Like they are more accessible, or you reach another audience, or?
The misunderstanding with technology is interesting, because we are just mimicking how younger generation are consuming culture rather than imposing the model that we have. So basically the way one generation consume culture is through a phone with incentive and dopamine, and watch a lot of commercials to have access to 2 points in order to do something or something like that. Whether it is like, because clearly to me, the work is not created mostly by the artist, but by the systemic constraint in which it happens. So basically, when I was a young artist and alone without friends, because I was doing installation with videos and I was improvising in space, and my nickname was Caveman because I had the cave of the museum and I was fine with that. So the opportunity created my way of working. And then the big white cube comes and I make works that works in the big white cube. And my installations, they were 4x4x4, so they can fit in an art fair booth. I added plug in it because on the paintings, because I wanted to plug video, and the fair were making it for 350 to add a plug. So I don't know, like everything is a mechanic. So I believe that changing the system of distribution or the vocabulary of transmission of things doesn't affect its content or critical content. Like I think like the stuff that looked like a game or a casino, I cannot say it's a good show or something like that. It's not really my question, but like in terms of critical content, it was like clearly here, and it worked in terms of having a relation to people, and it worked in terms of making the owner of the show, like if we talk about capital, the owner of the show, median age might be 25 years old. This is something funny, because you do the same thing for oil, maybe.
And then, like, now you're going into these more social events. Do you have the idea that how the work is being seen by the audience is different? Like how they experience it?
It depends, like some stuff we work for. So we have also, I didn't show, but we have machines that do collective merchandising. So everything you watch, it merges, and it makes one poster and gives the money to everyone. So that thing is funny because it's like not an artwork that is to one person, but it gives money to everyone in the place. And we have statistics because we use apps. And it's funny because 10% of the people there were going to talks and lectures, or at least scanning in front of it, to have enough points to get that fucking poster. So it's incentivizing, maybe it's perverse, but it's, I don't know if they call it art or not.
Yeah, because just to understand correctly, I just have a question. You don't feel that you kind of like trick the audience a bit?
What?
To trick them, because you learn like in these social events.
Why do I trick them?
Because they come, you learn them as well, but are they fully aware of what they're going to experience?
Yeah, but are they fully aware they're going to enter in a museum with one bar in diagonal in the center of a space? We turn around it. And, like no, but like no, but like fully aware. Like curiosity is something. It looks like I don't know if that's a trick. But at the end of the day, I give them the capital of the thing. So them staying longer or them consuming gives them access to it, which is something I could never said before.
Because these social events are not in museums, I think.
What? No, it depends. No, some now are in museums, and now we are paid by Ricard Foundation for the French Art Award to organize their social stuff. And we made an app, and we invited structures online to send works from distance. So they're going to play from a distance, and people inside the space are going to play. But we force them, in order to have the drinks, to look at the art. That's a trick. But I'm really fine with that idea to say, you look at the art if you want a drink. At an opening, in an art fair. Like I have no problem to say that. So maybe it's a trick, but...
But maybe if I correct it, or you also have a question? No. Okay, so maybe if I understand it right, there's also a bit of a movement, like what you show now, from being, let's say, offline, moving more online or only online?
No, both at the same time. I think this is I think this is the only way, because like options in society for distribution of cultures, like so either you go to fast dopamine and you become an influencer, but there is a 1 in a million chance you make a living, and then there is so super fast you have retribution, and then it blocks, and you cannot do anything, and you cannot integrate institutions or structures. There is a cap, yeah. And then if you go towards older institutions, there is incoherent structure that was built with the world that is not the same. I mean, there is not the same problems. So there is this incoherence, it takes more time, and there is a part of the game is the seduction of a generation that is way older, but there is no middle ground. I don't know, like try to see there are ways of creating middle ground that are less heavy maybe, and it's about like here we do bars, so we are not touching at art, but it's real with artists producing stuff. But I'm not saying it's a solution. Like it's like just attempt, and it's a job. It's a real like that's why I stopped, because it's a job.
It's a bit linked to your definition of the virtual world and old museum world. You said that you really want to find boundaries, and in that sense, is then a public institution for you less interesting than a corporation or an NFT or a foundation?
I have no judgment on anything. Like it's I have no. Just I think new models have to come in society for culture, and they're gonna come anyway. So it's funny to try to see how you structure it, you participate at least, or you just try things. That's it.
But then at the moment your main focus is just to experiment with different distribution models, no?
This time I'm obsessed. Yeah. No, but I'm also because like the mechanics of having an ID, putting value on that ID every month, and going back to zero, having a new ID, like I don't find a way to distribute differently, have a new relation with other audience, because also like again like the audience is falling down.
But then if you want to, do you already feel that by rethinking distributions channels, is there like the older generation, or do you feel already there is a friction, or people are starting to ask questions, or like from the...
No, but I have the people that's the older generations that hire us.
Yeah, but do you have...
So it's like the same mechanics. When you go out, you get back in.
Yeah.
Like it's not a...
But institutionalize you, but do you feel that they question you, or do you feel that you have valid debates with them, or like valid conversations with them, like why you want to...
I think the question... But structurally, like it's like you read something of the European Commission about culture, and they talk about those problematics and about event, immersive, VR, and the scare of the technology, and they're going to give everything away to agencies that do commercials soon.
Yeah.
Because like when you do Van Gogh as a screensaver, you have more people than you show when like it's a technical fact. So either like cultural people with critical distance takes over the tools and try to find models, either you are replaced. And there is and it's going to be a communication agency that do it.
So you're just parasite then?
Like, try to propose that there is, it's not either a communication agency influencer, either a polarized high-end opera. There is a ground where we can work together, produce stuff that are not bad.
And then maybe like what do you think is if this move is happening, what's the meaning, or how would exhibitions change? Because I think the Corona work was presented at Starischer Herbst, like the whole online thing. Do you think like this kind of events that will only take place online or mainly online is like...
I hate online, to be honest. No, I hate my phone, I hate social networks. Like, so, I don't know. No, like, no, but I think there is going to be new cultural structures and a new way of doing things. And actually it's fascinating because there are a lot of structures that have models that are quite funny. And that I never saw. I don't know if it works, and I don't know if it produces something I can value with the codes I have, but I don't really care as long as they try. Mm-hmm. But I just really think technology is gonna bring solutions for larger distribution, like it did for music. And today, operas or philharmonic orchestras still play the same music since the 19th century. And I think contemporary art is going to polarize in that way. and there is gonna be like extra contemporary art or side contemporary art more wild, or distributed like differently. And because this is one of the only field of culture that couldn't be active during lockdowns, and that's one of the only things that didn't, like music had its revolution several times with technology and the way it was democratized or decentralized. Even the press had it, and found now, after having been crushed by Facebook, found models like The Guardians or Mediapart to be autonomous and still function out of internet. Like, so basically, maybe it's a bit accelerationist, but like these mechanics happen, and now there is tool that I don't know.
Is there in any way a similarity to like escape rooms, because it's also like a person who sets it up and it's a game that more people can play, and there's like, you also make like a game that people can interact with. Are there like similarities then between the two?
That's me. When I do an exhibition of mine, I do like stuff that looks like that, but I don't know the models. Like I really have no clue. But yeah, I really. But yeah, like personally, yes, I think we should do art history escape rooms. No, for real, I think it could be funny. Don't look at Carl André. Run. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you say, you don't like online, and you don't like
the way it's structured now. I liked it a long time ago.
Yeah.
But there was stupid blogs and websites not well made, and it was interesting.
So somehow you like also what you show. You feel something you're irritated about. You move in that direction to work in that context.
No, but that's political. Like 10 years ago, like the left and culture didn't touch technology, which is a super good idea. Like to say we don't touch it, it's not for us. Like that's really big up. Like it's 70% of the economy of the world. Datas are like bigger than oil, and like you have a whole field, and then the world is burning, and you're like, oh yeah, it's burning, and people are becoming crazy, and they go on social networks to say I'm becoming crazy, instead of like controlling the technology that creates it. So I think now we're gonna have real like gap of technology with AIs and stuff like that. So either you try to get in and have access and control and make it pay humans, either it's doomed and it's fine. But like, but it's more like because I did a lot of mistakes in my life. Like I said, I never have a cell phone when I was a kid, and it really didn't work. Then I said I will not have social network because it's horrible, and it really didn't work. So this time I'm like, okay, there is a new technology, like we can take it. Like it's like
to change it from within.
To like, but Universal like artists did that with cinema. It was theater people that saw a technology that would distribute culture in a different way. So it ended up in in producing, maybe I don't know if they produce the Avengers, but like it's sad. Nevertheless, like for theater people that didn't find funding at the time to say, okay, we're going to distribute differently because there is a new tool which reached a bit the vocabulary, but it made Buster Keaton possible. It made Charlie Chaplin possible, which is actually for society not that bad. So it's a bit, but it's a pragmatic decision by default or position by default. And also I tried to have vegetables in the garden and it didn't work. I had one salad. So this option also doesn't work to participate in an ecological way.
Right. Are there any more questions? Maybe otherwise we can continue the discussion in the bar, but not before we put our hands together one more time. Thank you.